So I've got something to say. And it may end up disappointing you. Some of you might even unsubscribe when you hear it, but it needs to be said. I have been holding my truth for years now, but I finally gathered the strength to express myself to you guys. The truth is, I didn't much care for the final villains of Kamen Rider W. Yes, I know, but it's the truth. Do I think that there are some cool things about these villains? Yes, and sure, I'll quickly talk about those things in this video, but overall, I think they just end up hurting the finale more than actually helping. So, I think that's enough beating around the bush. Let's talk about it. Before that though, real quick, just want to quickly thank everybody for watching this video. I really appreciate it, even though it is probably going to be my most controversial video yet. If you guys are new to the channel, I am a big fan of Kamen Rider. I've reacted to Kamen Rider W, Futo PI, O's. I'm currently reacting to Forze, and if you check out my Patreon, you will see an exclusive reaction to the 1971 Kamen Rider series, the very first Kamen Rider series ever, I'm pretty sure. So if that's something that you guys want to check out, all that stuff is going to be on my channel. Subscribe so you want to see, if you guys want to see more. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Let's not waste any more time. Get on with the episode. So I'm sure some of you are wondering, what does he mean by villains? He's just talking about Jun, right? Surely he's not talking about these idiots, right? And you'd be right both times. I'm not talking about the Walmart Museum, and Jun is half of who I am talking about. The other half would be Ryubi Sonozaki, the head of the organization known as the museum, and also the head of the Sonozaki family. I consider both of these guys the final villains of Kamen Rider W. Jun I consider because, well, he is the actual final big serious boss that Shotaro and Philip face in the series. Now, I'll be honest, I don't think Jun is a good final villain. Quickly talking about what I did like, I mean, the man was strong. More than strong, he was downright OP. His memory had the ability to grant wishes. Not only that, but he also had 98% compatibility with his memory, making him stronger than weather. This power gave him near reality bending abilities, allowing him to do things like steal people's faces, which was visually creepy, might I add, telekinesis, create fire attacks and tornadoes, and probably other crazy things that I just don't remember at the moment. That power was absolutely insane. So yeah, defeating him would be an impressive feat, worthy of a final battle. But if we're talking about the final villain, is power really everything? You want your villain to be strong, yes, of course, and difficult to defeat. But I feel like you also would want to have a story or an arc between your villain and hero, one that would conclude with their final battle. Jun's first episode was episode 37, so he had 11 episodes to develop some kind of relationship with our main heroes. But he doesn't. The show keeps him in the background, only letting him interact with the Sonozaki family. If I remember right, it's not until like the last 3 episodes when he finally shows himself to the heroes and also reveals his Utopia form. But we're not talking about a villain of the week, we're talking about the final villain. A final fight of a series should be more than just visually impressive, it should be emotional. And yeah, the episode where Utopia was defeated was emotional. But that was because of the relationship between Philip and Shotaro. Defeating the final villain should be an arc by itself between the hero and the villain. Remember when Jun took the faces of everyone close to Philip because he needed to get Philip emotional in order to use Wakana's power? Spoilers, I guess. I wish we had more of that. Have Jun constantly fuck with these two mercilessly, so when the time came, his defeat would feel more satisfying, I guess. But the whole messing with them thing didn't last nearly as long as it should have. Another way to make Jun a better villain would have been by learning more about him while he was around. Learn about his history, his origin with the organization. Why is he doing this? And I don't mean to make him redeemable or even relatable, but like, just give us something, man. If I remember right, man's just here. And either he's making deals with the museum, falling for Saiko, or just dropping things a lot. So yeah, while the villain was incredibly strong, the character himself ended up being really weak and honestly forgettable. We then have Ryubi, the head of the museum and the Sonozaki family. This character we were introduced way back in episode 1. He was carefree, smiling, enjoying his dinner, and this energy continues throughout the whole series. I don't think we saw this man worried once outside of maybe like a flashback or two. This was both great, but also not so great. Ryubi never looking bothered showed him always in control. Shotaro and Philip were doing so much to fight the museum, but even though so many Gaia memories and dopants were destroyed, Ryubi just looked fine. There's also the thing about his strength. I mean, his dopant form was hyped up. Not only did we get a taste of it here and there, but we also got strong characters like Isuka aka Weather being super cautious around Ryubi. His place as the most dangerous was never in question for me. They added to this when it was time to face him, Ryubi's abilities made Shotaro drown in his fears. So part of our hero's goal was facing his fears while also going up against Ryubi. So of course, I like that. Still got a problem with him though. Who is Ryubi? Like, who is he, you know? Ryubi's confidence was threatening, but confidence was really all we knew about him. The smidge of actual character depth that we got was really only in flashbacks, like when Philip died in a flashback. The majority of screen time though, we don't get anything other than confidence, confidence, confidence. Hyping your character and establishing his strength is important. Ryubi gets a 1-up over Jun because this buildup of strength spans multiple episodes, while Jun's strength was finally shown like an episode or 2 before his actual defeat. But like I said earlier, we need more than just strength with our final villains. We need character. But when you have a character who's only confidence, you know, only one note, I mean, it gets boring. That's the biggest problem with Jun and Ryubi. Their characters are not explored, not nearly enough. They both stay too far away from the heroes and the audience, so they and we are not able to establish a good enough relationship. And compared to the other Kamen Rider villains that I've seen, they're kind of bland. Especially Jun. I want to make that clear. Ryubi dog walks Jun as far as character goes. Even with all their strength, I still end up looking at them like, Another problem that I have with them are their actual fights. These guys are super strong. Their actual movesets are impressive, but their final fights are pretty lackluster. I mean, Ryubi is hyped up so much throughout the series, and his fight just doesn't match that. It just goes by so quick, and I don't know, the setting and everything just doesn't feel right. I mean, look at Weather's final fight with Ryu. It's short, yes, but the setting and action just felt more grand to me. There's also the fact that this fight is built up throughout multiple episodes. Like, Ryu and Weather have multiple fights between each other, which brings back the importance of establishing a relationship between the villains and the heroes. That hype was not in Ryubi's fight. Even with that fear aspect with Shotaro, the fight just wasn't there for me. And it's also kind of weird how Ryubi wasn't the final villain of Kamen Rider W. So like this big settings and final CGI and all the stuff that I was anticipating not actually happening, it was just kind of like, oh, okay, I guess there's somebody else we have to worry about. Speaking of the actual final fight, not only was Jun not working for me, but that fight also, not to mention that the effects and the CG just wasn't as big and crazy as I think a final fight should be. I mean, there are fights in Kamen Rider W that are crazier and more grand than the actual final fight of the series, which isn't that kind of backwards? I mean, look at O's final fight, where the city really felt in danger. There were fights and big ancient shit happening in the sky, armies on the ground. It was big, it felt like a finale. We just didn't get that with W. Honestly, the movie felt like a proper ending to the show, way more than Utopia's fight. I mean, in that we got returning faces, the music during the fight was super hyped, there was a surprise new form, kinda, a really good fight between Eternal and W, and not to mention a big finish at the end. That felt like a proper final fight. I think I heard that there were some issues behind the scenes, and that's what made the final fight not as great as it could have been. If anyone has more details on that, I would love to hear them. I haven't been able to find anything, but maybe I'm just not looking in the right place. By the way, this in no way messed up my opinion of the series. I mean, if you've seen my other Kamen Rider reactions, anytime W is mentioned, I freak out. It's still an amazing series. Its ending when focusing on Philip and Shotaro is super emotional. I know there are people who wish that Philip stayed dead and that ruined the ending for them. For me personally, I love that he came back and we got to see that really wholesome ending with the whole Sonozaki family. It's just Ryubi and Jun. Their characters and fights just were so disappointing for me. And yeah, Kamen Rider series like O's and Build, their final battles I think are peak. They are the goal right now for me. Especially Build, I mean just best Kamen Rider series. Honestly, if you want my opinion, I really think W dropped the ball by not making Saiko the final villain. And no, I'm not saying this because I'm simping. She was made for the role. I am telling you. We know that at an early age, Ryubi trained Saiko to take over the company. We saw her be extra hard on her and expect a lot more from her than the other siblings. Putting her through hell and giving her a harsh childhood that made her cold to, well, everyone, especially her sister. Throughout the series, we would see her hungry for that power that she believes belongs to her because she was raised for it in a way. Honestly, I was kind of rooting for her. I thought she'd be a difficult opponent for our heroes. Unfortunately, when Isuka came into the picture, that's when I started to... I mean, they made this girl super dependent on Isuka. I don't know if she was really lovesick or if she just saw him as a tool to get what she wanted. Honestly, I'm leaning towards the former. She seemed like she was really falling for him and wanted to rule with him, and we never got any scenes that said otherwise. She then jumped from Isuka to Jun, and maybe she didn't have any feelings for him, but it's still frustrating that she couldn't be the big threat and she was still feeling like second place in a partnership. I mean, we know her character. Philip and Shotaro have a history with her. We've been following her since the start. We've seen her struggle to get power. We've seen her backstory, seen what she's been through. And if you had her steal the extreme power from her father and sister, she would have had the strength to stand as the final villain. I mean, that's just my wish, I guess, you know. It didn't end up happening. I'm not salty. I'm fine. The main point of this video was to highlight the actual final villains. W is an amazing Kamen Rider series, and I 100% think that they deserved better big bads because everything else about this series was amazing. I know Kamen Rider can make great endings because I've seen them. I don't even remember if I mentioned my thoughts in my review of the series, but I wanted to get more specific in this one, so that's what I ended up doing. Hope you guys don't think any less of me. I hope you guys can forgive me and you guys can continue to watch Kamen Rider alongside me. This was honestly really fun to make, even though yes, this series is over a decade long. I hope that I can make more videos like that, you know, talking about my past Kamen Rider experiences, because this series, this whole Kamen Rider franchise is absolutely insane, and there's honestly a lot to talk about. I'll have to find out what I can talk about with O's, but hopefully you guys stick around for all of that, and you guys, like I said, enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching. I really appreciate it. Tell me what you guys thought about Ryubi and Jun. Did you guys actually like them? Did you guys actually hate them? Tell me all that stuff down in the comment section down below. Thank you again for watching. I will see you guys next time. Saiko was snubbed.